First off, my name is Joyner. I'm a writer, I guess. I play music too. My band Left in Limbo is here tonight, along with my partners and friends of mine. I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming out, because this is what DIY is all about. And I'm very proud to say I have a book that I published on June 26th.
Yeah!
I'm reading from it tonight, and if you want a copy of it, I've got 4 of them signed and noted. So if you want them, come to me after the show. I've got them out in my car. It costs $10.
Yo.
Right? I apologize, the price is so high, but I'm trying to double my return on them because I'm a broke ass bitch. Anyways, so I guess I'll start off in the first section of the book with my favorite one in the entire book, actually. They don't have titles, so there are 4 sections: rear view, weather report, bullet, and picture this. And so this is rear view 3. I won't say the titles for any of the other ones. I'll just kind of segue. I knew the moment that I saw you that I was going to miss you for the rest of my life. That you were doomed to be a daydream, the one I wish had only gotten away. But I never really had a chance. Your hair was a faint red, but your lips were a faint pink, and I fell in love with how they looked when you talked to me. They were almost as pretty as your smile. For a while, you were the reason that I woke up, the reason I searched for reasons to keep going. But I know within reason that you would never be more than that. But one could hope. You gave me a bit of a dessert that you made. It's one of the best things that I had ever tasted. Pumpkin and chocolate. The essence of autumn, but all the sweetness of you. I felt so close to you in that moment that the bite of the newly chilly weather was replaced by a warmth that I had never felt before. You always said that you'd come see me play. I wanted to find you in the crowd again because I was so good at that. But this time I could sing to you. I wanted to play a song for you that you never know was about you unless I told you. And I wanted you to tell me everything that I ever wanted to hear over and over again with every glance that you'd shoot me in response. I wanted to take you on a date and have you talk circles around me so I could imagine kissing them in real time. I wanted to invite you over to sit on my back porch with me and count the fireflies while we were sharing tea and menthols. Every time the leaves change color, I'm liable to think of you, and I'm guaranteed to dream of you. I may forever be a young and aspiring upstart artist to you, but to me, just know that you'll always be one of the reasons I'm so in love with autumn.
Woo!
Yeah.
So I kind of forgot that I was supposed to snap. Sorry.
You're fine, you're recording. You have a vital role to this whole operation. Speaking of vital roles to this whole operation, just like every good artist out there, I'm inebriated.
Yeah.
Shout out to Christian Crowder from Left in Limbo for buying that Modelo for me. I was in my mom's car today, and I saw that one of the Sirius XM presets she had was a station called the 10 Spot. A 2010s nostalgia station that plays all the top 40 hits from the decade. My rear view on that time in my life is far from rose-tinted, and those songs reinforce it. The only times that I heard any of those songs were when I was being driven to and from school until I got my license, or on the weekends before my mom would let me and my brother stay home from the weekly errands. It used to drag on and on, with those songs being the soundtrack to the endless car rides, department stores, doctor's offices, and frustrated yells from my mom. Sometimes we would drive past Nashville, and I would fantasize about either going downtown to the restaurants and bars and catching musicians either mid-performing act or in the other act of going about their daily lives. I dreamt of catching a Titans game and seeing how the real players compared to their digital counterparts in my Madden PS2 games. I dreamt of being anywhere but where I was. And although we were always in a moving vehicle, it wouldn't satisfy. Because my daydreams were always blown away by the blown-out concrete walls on Briley Parkway as we sped towards one of Music City's wretched suburbs full of more chain restaurants, department stores, and bad drivers. I could never escape the smell of the exhausted sighs from my mother, the meltdowns of my misunderstood brother, or the seatbelt clinging to me like a desperate partner who knows you fell out of love with them. Those songs are ingrained into my subconscious, tattooed on both sides of my brain. Is that why so many musicians cover themselves up in ink when they grow up? So they can cover up the old ink like some sort of embarrassing drunken mistake? When I hear those songs, I feel like I'm on the late stages of intoxication. Sluggish, sleepy, and sick. My head starts to hurt, my heart starts to race, my stomach starts to turn, so I mute the radio. I'm never driving my mom's car again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 5:50 a.m. It's chilly outside. Dew and fog blanket the yard and the trees around my parents' house. My mom comes into my room to let me know in no gentle or uncertain terms that it's time to get up and get in the goddamn car. I scramble to change out of my pajamas, even though there's nothing but asphalt to impress today. Travel bags wedged between seats and the cold air blowing between the vents gradually warming up and easing the goosebumps on my skin like aloe on a sunburn. The beach is where we're headed. So dawn to dusk, I find a temporary sea of green trees and hills my solace, peppered by lottery billboards and barns that keep telling me to see Rock City. Rest stops are a catnap to the dog-tired commuter. Coffee flows in the spring of the gas pump oasis, and ever since I can remember, there's been no place I'd rather be. Breathing in exhaust fumes from the Pilot parking lot before shoving yet another Wendy's #1 down my throat that day. The honesty that I ordered with it is my play pretend moonshine as we wander through the Smoky Mountains. Tan leather upholstery makes me feel the same way that my flannel bed sheets do. Comfort. As I stare out the window at the truckers and imagine myself in their shoes, doing what I thought they did for a living, but taking my bed with me so I can actually compare how it makes me feel to the tan leather upholstery. If I fall asleep face down, keeping the windows from view, maybe I could get a full night's rest and wake up somewhere else as if I had time traveled. I could count Dramamine tablets and maybe I'll feel steady enough to crash. At least if I'm unconscious, I'll never see it coming. If I imagine myself in a van with my friends, resting my honest tea on my amplifier, struggling to hear the unplugged electric guitar over the road noise that I'm playing, we could stop at rest stops, like when I was younger, and do baby boomer kid things like, fry an egg on a sidewalk, use the dirt as some seasoning, and pray you don't get hepatitis. We'd be celebrities at the merch table, which we'll have to carry back on the way to the box trailer at the end of the night. The beer would be free, but we can't go too crazy. We gotta drive to the next city the next day. Sometimes I wonder if Dramamine works for a hangover too. That's the end of that one. This is one I wrote a year ago, actually, when I was unemployed and taking a walk through a neighborhood in my hometown. I've memorized how the pavement looks wherever I've gone. I spend a lot of time staring at it. Most times in a vain attempt to avert my eyes from you or someplace that we've been. I try to make the grooves, pebbles, and collapsed sections the perfect distraction. I spend a lot of time walking on it. I've memorized how it feels under all of my shoes. I even remember how gritty and unforgiving it is to my bare feet. It's the only way I can feel like I'm going anywhere or doing anything some days. Because frankly, I'm too afraid to cut myself. Too afraid of people looking at the wounds and the scars and asking about me, At least I'm actually moving forward when I'm on the pavement. At least I can move on from something that's behind me. Whether it's your house or a speeding truck that neglected to hit me because the driver was smart enough to be aware, or maybe didn't let their intrusive thoughts get the best of them. I love the way a car flies across the pavement doing double the speed limit. It's intoxicating. Much like the average early AM driver, I've got a lot too in common with them. I too am up drinking, except I don't have the luxury of throwing caution to the wind or the necessity of getting myself home because I don't have anyone that I can count on at this time of night, or I'll sleep. I shouldn't burden them with my sadness and my mental troubles, though. They've become commonplace. Years and years, it's been the same battle, wave after wave. Excuse me. Eating away at the pavement beneath me. It's always cracked. I just wish that I would wash away. Hell, I'd like to see it get it repaved, so maybe if I pace, stumble, and fall and get back up again, maybe I'll have a few less scrapes and scratches when I'm back on my feet, Maybe I'll have something new to memorize underneath my bare feet that won't hurt with every single step, because I'm goddamn sick of picking the rocks out of them. I take them with me wherever I go. I leave traces with everyone and everything, and you can try and find solace in the smell of the asphalt before it rains. But when the flood comes pouring down, you'll be clinging to any piece of driftwood that happens by. Because it's better than walking me or riding in my car. Because then you'll be trapped with me. It'll drown with me. And my last dying words will be me telling you I'm sorry and that you should have just stayed inside. Well, the storm's coming now. Run while you can. Don't fall down on the pavement. Don't let the tornado twist you up. Don't let the floods wash the asphalt out from underneath you. It can only handle so much. I should know. I know the pavement. So there's this one section in my book called Bullet that's just full of gratuitous and unnecessary violence, because that's what this country kind of runs off of. He owned a studio apartment that he rented out to whoever was desperate enough to pay $2,000 a month. At the first of 1 month, rent wasn't paid, and he got a text from the tenant saying that he needs to come over and see something. Annoyed, he went over and knocked on the door. No one answered. He tried the handle and the door was unlocked. He went in and stepped on a tripwire. A shotgun booby trap blew him away and he bled out on the floor. The tenant ran over and shouted, "Hell yeah, I got that on camera." Nashville has all the pollution and production of LA and all the greed and vice of Vegas. People come out here to make it big or to try and survive just to get chewed up and spit out. Sometimes by the locals, sometimes by business. It's a rough trade. Car dependence is the motto of Music City, with too many hills to comfortably walk and not enough sidewalk for those that need it, yet enough asphalt to fill a river, much like the rest of Dixie. These rolling green hills didn't ask to be paved over and raked by heavy machinery, jackhammers, and drills, so maybe the chore of traversing their unbreakable grade is nature's way of getting back at us. The neighborhood I live in is full of big hills, and still pretty. It's walkable, and the other people that live here must seem to agree, because they like to walk it too. Complete with old brick houses and neighborhood watch signs, my neighborhood is straight out of a 1950s sitcom. If I step outside and close my eyes, I can almost imagine the mothers and fathers calling out for their kids to come home and eat dinner once the street lights come on. Not much has changed except for the demographic. It's not all nuclear families anymore. But we all may as well be kids. We're all trying our best to create or recreate the nostalgic sense of safety that comes with forced air, plumbing, and a full pantry. We peel ourselves off sofas and beds into cars and limp our way to jobs that we Pavloved ourselves into requiring. There was this kid, no older than 2, staring at me as she looked through the storm door of her house on Lynn Drive as I passed by on one of my afternoon strolls. She seemed somewhat inquisitive, if not afraid. She's got good reason to be, if you ask me, because once you leave the de facto confines of this subdivision, you're greeted with 6-lane roads, puddles of mud, runoff, alcohol, and piss. You can see the urban decay and human despair in real time, and you wonder how long it'll be until you end up homeless, invisible to the world, yet too visible for the police to not harass. There are a lot of homeless people in Nashville. You can see them in all hours of the day. One of these places is at the intersection of Harding Place and Nolensville Pike, where I saw a guy juggling for every passerby on the median closest to the IHOP. He had a gray stubble, green coat, and a weathered Vols hat. I wonder if he ever suspected that when he was younger and he grew to be that age, that he'd be outside in the cold and rain putting on a show for people sheltered away in cars with heaters and radios blasting. Thank you. In a flash, a home goes up in flames. The windows wart, smoke escapes, it coats and contaminates every possible thing within the now smoldering walls. A family story and livelihood up in smoke. A bed, refuge for loners and lovers alike, now a tomb for the unaware. Pictures and wallpapers become fuel. Deadbolts and house alarms can't keep you safe from this. Day or night, the threat is ever present. Bodies burning, reduced to soot as if they were furniture or light fixtures. Almost as if the earth was washing its hands of you and your carbon footprint. We're fragile lives in a fragile balance. Tipped so easily by the cat that knocked over a candle and played with the fire. It ran out of the house and into the night, confused when it returned the next morning to find its bowl in the rubble. The flames take all, consuming everything in its wake. Cleansing the earth of impurities, the flames will outlive you as it suffocates and cremates your legacy. I want to tell you all about a little friend of mine. Her name was Rosie. She had dyed rose-red hair. She wandered the streets of Antioch, talking to the locals at bus stops, soaking up every word that they spoke to her. She laughed at the world around her. 'cause if she didn't, it would kill her. She carries pain like you carry your bones inside of you. She's so gentle, yet so dented. Manhandled and told to appreciate it. She knows you're full of shit because she's heard it all before. Her voice is like a dove cooing on a hot summer morning. Cool water on your hands, washing away the dirt. She may as well be a thing of legend. Sometimes I want to keep her in a flower pot by my windowsill and watch her grow bigger than I'll ever be. I think I'll close this one with a story about someone that I like to call the modern man. Who is this modern man? Well, he wakes up at 6:30 every Monday through Friday. The alarm may as well be gunshots or explosions. He still needs the assistance of coffee after getting dressed and combing his hair. He leaves at 8 a.m. after eating a Jimmy Dean's sausage and egg biscuit. He's dressed in jeans and a t-shirt. He packed a lunch into an Arctic Zone insulated lunchbox. It's the same sandwich his mother made for him throughout his school days. He got into his four-door sedan that he just finished paying off and limped through traffic and the potholes on the interstate. It's 15 minutes to work every morning, and he arrives 15 minutes early. He walks in and puts his bag in one of the work fridges. Then he sits down at a desk and crunches numbers for 8 hours straight. He eats the sandwich on his lunch break along with a can of Coke and a bag of Doritos that he packed as well. On his 2 other breaks, he drank water and ate a Kirkland bar. He gets home just before 6 and showers before cooking himself an easy meal. If he's feeling lazy, he'll make himself a TV dinner. Excuse me. He daydreams of a girl that he once knew in high school and jerks off to her before he sits down to watch his favorite Netflix show. He has a couple of Coors Lights too and plays the new smash hit video game of changing name every year. He retires to bed at 10 after showering and blow drying his hair. He had looked in the mirror at his one tattoo on his upper right arm, a heart with a scroll across it that read, Mom and Dad. He got it when he turned 18 because he saw some of his peers got tattoos and figured that was the thing to do. Hell, his whole life was the thing to do. After all, he got good grades in high school, A's and B's, enough to make the honor roll, enough for state scholarships to pay for community college. He lived with his parents because he waited tables on the weekends and did homework in the evenings. During the summers, he worked at a warehouse in town to help build a savings account for university, which he transferred to after 2 years. His GPA upon graduation was remarkably average. That summer, he and some guys from his old fraternity went to Florida and spent most of their trip bar hopping and fishing. He remembered that none of them caught anything, or even got laid, even though they tried. He had only done it a few times in high school and college, always with a condom, thankfully. On that note, he thought of that one girl again. He missed how it felt, but it was all right without her, right? Porn is better anyways, right? He started work with H&R Block a few months after finishing university. He got himself his own apartment too, a modest 1-bed, 1-bath. That was 3 years ago. He's still in the same goddamn place. And that was where he'd spend the rest of his life. He would get promoted a couple of times, and of course he bought a house, but he never did anything else. Every 4 years or so, he would grow a beard, keep it for a year, shave it off, the works. He would even vacation every summer with his family to the same 4 places, but that stopped when his parents died. Most Saturday evenings, he and some of his co-workers would drink in silence at this one bar because they all secretly didn't like each other. He never left the country, never listened to music, never got in a relationship, would hook up occasionally, but he never quite hit it off with anybody. He would later move into a retirement home, the same one that his parents moved to all those years ago that he helped pay for. He was an only child, so at his death, his bloodline ended with him. His belongings sold at auction for reasonable amounts. He never talked to himself. He didn't even have too memorable a voice. Everyone who knew him either forgot about him or called him that one guy, or always followed it up with, what's his name again? Thank you guys so much.